Here, so let's get going. All right, good morning, everybody. I am Fichtner. I'm the president of the New Jersey Council of County Colleges, and it is a real honor to be here with all of you and to be here with my friend and colleague, Judy Savage. Judy and I have worked together for many years, and we're both very excited to have the opportunity to bring all of you together to talk about this really important partnership at this really important time in our state's history. So I think this is the first time in many, many years that we've tried to bring together every community college president and every superintendent of the vocational technical schools. And so I just want to thank you all for taking time out of your incredibly busy and complicated schedules. I know this is a very busy and complex and rapidly moving time for all of us. But I think the fact that all of you are here is really an indication of a strong commitment both from community colleges and vocational technical schools that this partnership is really critically important to our institutions, to our state, to our communities. And so it really is exciting to see so many of you here to engage in this really important conversation, to share information, and then to really talk about how do we move forward. I am convinced that our state needs strong community colleges and strong vocational technical schools now more than ever. We are obviously in the midst of the worst public health crisis in probably 100 years, the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, and we are facing a reckoning based on the terrible tragedies and murders of our African American colleagues and friends across the country. And this is a real time for us to address systemic racism. So I know that community colleges and vocational technical schools are really incredibly well positioned to make sure that we have a skilled workforce, that we're giving people the skills, the knowledge, and the abilities that will serve them well. And we are incredibly well positioned to continue to open up doors of economic opportunity and to address systemic racism in our state and in our communities. So the challenges are great, but I think the opportunities are equally great, perhaps even greater. If we work together, build on the strong collaborations that currently exist to raise awareness among our state partners and others about the incredible work that we're doing, and really find really cutting edge solutions for how do we work together to address the issues that we so deeply care about for our students and for our communities and for our state. So thank you all. Look forward to this incredibly important discussion and look forward to working with all of you collaboratively in the months and years ahead. So thank you all for being here, and back to you, Judy.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you for your partnership and for making this happen today, for bringing us all together. The notion of increasing collaboration between our county vocational schools and county colleges is not a new idea. It's something that we've been talking about and working towards for many years, and all of you have been working together in one way or another for a long time. But as Aaron noted, what's new and different right now is the circumstance in which we find ourselves. This is a fast-changing and very challenging environment. The jobs in the economy are evolving. College affordability is paramount. Of course, the pandemic has put a spotlight on historical inequalities, and resources are just tighter than they've ever been before. The challenges are historic, but we have to ask, is this confluence of trends and crises also an opportunity for us to rethink some of the longstanding relationships and find better, more forward-looking ways to work together? We put together a joint white paper that calls for increased collaboration, and it builds on the 2028 framework that the county colleges developed to suggest some very specific things that county vocational schools and community colleges can do together to better serve our students, to serve employers, communities, and our state as a whole. It makes 4 recommendations. First, county vocational schools and community colleges should work together to implement the new law for work and learn consortia by developing career pathways that incorporate both stackable credentials and degrees and are aligned to workforce needs. The pathways and skills collaboratives outlined by community colleges will help to support and inform that effort. We should take a look at and expand dual credit opportunities and identify some viable models that institutions can adapt to reduce the time and the cost of earning a degree and get our students into the workforce faster. Recognizing the fiscal constraints that face all institutions, schools, and colleges should actively look for ways to share facilities and develop joint ventures to leverage existing resources, including the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act. County leaders want and need to see their institutions working together to serve their residents. And finally, as we do all of these things, we should prioritize equity and opportunity as institutions and as state organizations by looking for promising strategies to make high quality opportunities and career pathways available to all New Jerseyans, and especially focus on the industries and areas where minority and economically disadvantaged residents have been underrepresented. Today's meeting's just a start. This is going to take a lot of conversations to tackle some ambitious goals. We wish we were together in a room today as we had planned to do last April, but we agreed that this conversation really can't wait until after the pandemic. So our plan is to bring the county vocational school leaders up to speed with the agenda that community colleges have developed for action. We want to review some best practices for working together by hearing from some counties that have particularly strong collaborations in place. And then we're going to break into smaller groups to begin regional discussions about some specific things that we might be able to tackle together. So before we launch into that, some quick housekeeping. Thank you everybody for having your video on. If you're not presenting, please be on mute. Everybody should have received a packet. Doesn't seem like everybody's into wearing their lays and beads, so that's fine, but the lays will identify where you're going for breakout groups. When you go to a vocational school for a meeting, you're always well fed by our talented students. We couldn't pull that off this morning, so please enjoy your granola bar. Use the chat feature of Zoom if you would like to share comments or information as we go forward. If you want to ask a question, you can use the chat feature for that. We will get to as many questions as we can during the session, but we are really going to try to stick tightly to a very ambitious time schedule to fit within the 2-hour time frame. So if we don't get to questions, we will follow them up. We are recording the main sessions today so that we can go back and review anything that's said. We will not be recording the breakout sessions. So with that, I want to thank you for spending your morning with us. We hope you'll leave as excited as Aaron's team and my team are about this whole endeavor. Before I turn it back to Aaron, we're going to do a quick poll question to see what everybody is most excited about for today. Jake, there we go. You should be able to just click on your answer. All right. Got another 15 seconds for answering the question, and then we'll see where we are. All right. Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for responding to the poll. Aaron, back to you.
Thank you, Judy. So I want to spend just a few minutes talking about some of the things that we are working on in the community colleges, because we really welcome the involvement of county vocational technical schools in our work because of this important partnership. So as Judy mentioned, about 2 years ago, we embarked on an effort to really reimagine the future of community colleges in New Jersey. And many of you probably have read our Vision 2028 report, which came out about a year ago. That was based on large numbers of conversations that we had internally in our communities, among presidents, among leaders in our colleges, among the council, trustees, and discussions that we had had with a whole set of different partners. But really underpinning Vision 2028 was a realization that the world is changing. Even before this pandemic, the world was changing rapidly, and that we as community colleges needed to continue to innovate and find new ways to make sure that we were relevant to the challenges that were facing our state. An underpinning of the whole report was a commitment to do more than our share, to increase the percentages of New Jerseyans that have earned some post-secondary credential or degree. And I know that we would all agree, given the work that we all do, that the vast majority of New Jerseyans will have to have some post-secondary degree or credential if they are going to have an opportunity for a family supporting wage and career. And so that may not always mean a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree. That might mean an industry valued credential. We also committed in Vision 2028 that we needed to redouble our effort to build partnerships. And obviously partnerships with county vocational technical schools were front and center in those discussions, but partnerships with 4-year colleges and universities are critically important for us, and you'll hear about some of those today. Partnerships with the workforce development system, which I think we'll talk about a little bit later as well. Partnerships with community and faith-based organizations that serve our communities in ways that we cannot. And partnerships with employers and labor unions who have a deep understanding of the changing needs of their industries and can really help us make sure that we are educating and training people with the skills and credentials and degrees that will help them be successful in their lives while we're building a skilled workforce to propel economic growth in our state. So a cornerstone of Vision 2028 was the launching of what we're calling Pathway and Skill Collaboratives in 4 key industries: healthcare, advanced manufacturing, technology, transportation, logistics, and distribution. The point of these collaboratives is to create a structure to allow us to work together and with employers. So the critical component is to really do a much better job of understanding the needs of employers in those 4 key industries, and to work with them to build broad partnerships. Even before this pandemic hit us, the economy was changing, technology was changing rapidly, the skills that people are going to need throughout their lives, and the need for people to be prepared for lifelong learning and retooling throughout their entire careers. But I am convinced that this pandemic will alter the labor market in ways that we can't imagine. There will be jobs created and jobs destroyed, never to come back as a result of this pandemic. It's hard to imagine that the labor market and economy that we emerge into after this pandemic is over, and we hope it's over soon, will be anything like the one that we are leaving behind. And so it's even more important in our mind that we really redouble our efforts to engage with employers. So the idea behind the Pathway and Skill Collaboratives would be to bring together a statewide leadership team for each industry of key employers, labor unions, industry associations that would guide our work, give us input on the changing needs of the labor market and their needs, to work with us to analyze labor market information to make sure that we have a better understanding of the degrees and credentials that are in demand. And that's really a cornerstone, is the idea of creating an industry leadership team for each of the 4 collaboratives. Another cornerstone is that the collaboratives will be coalitions of the willing. So our community colleges have opted into participating in each of the 4 collaboratives, and we are eager to formally invite all of you to choose to join any one of or all 4 of our Pathway and Skill Collaboratives. We would ask that you designate a staff member that could work with us collaboratively, that could work with us to build statewide partnerships and to engage with employers. We are intending to create maps of key pathways, stackable credential pathways for those key industries, and to make that information available to students and job seekers and to the public, and to use those maps as a way to help all of you make the decisions on building those relationships and those pathways from vocational technical schools to community colleges, from community colleges to four-year colleges and universities. We want to create a truly flexible system of pathways built on stackable credentials with on-ramps and off-ramps, no dead ends, opportunities for students to, throughout their careers, to get more training and education to help them move up the career ladder, to get more of the skills and education, knowledge and abilities that they need to thrive in this rapidly changing world. So we're very excited to be launching the Pathway and Skill Collaboratives. They are led by our Community College Consortium for Workforce and Economic Development, which is an arm of the council, which has been around for about 10 years and gives us the platform to engage with employers and to secure state and federal grants to support this effort. We hope that the Pathway and Skill Collaboratives will be a platform for us to all come together in those four industries: healthcare, advanced manufacturing, transportation, logistics and distribution, and technology, to not only build strong partnerships, but also to secure state and federal grants to support the work that all of you do. So we will be in touch with you with a formal invitation to formally join one or all of the Pathway and Skill Collaboratives. But we believe now is the time for us to engage employers on a statewide level to really understand their needs and to build those strong pathways, building on the incredible work that is already going on in all of your institutions. So we look forward to working with you on that and on many other opportunities to strengthen these relationships.